Welcome to Bestseller TV. I'm Taryn Brill. We're here with Jamie Crosbie. She's the author of The Power of Two, Exponential Sales Leadership. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So first off, the book arrived in my mailbox. I love it. It's so compact. It's travel size. You could, take it with you on the go. I travel on the subway, so this fits right in my pocket or in my purse. So great job on that. It's very user-friendly.
That was the idea, a flight, that someone could read it on a flight home.
So Jamie, in addition to the size of the book, which as I just mentioned, I adore, The Power of Two, the two is an exponent in reference to the exponential sales leadership, which is very clever. Do people pick up on that?
I think they do. Some people maybe not as well as you did, but yes, the whole idea
I love exponents.
Yes, there you go. So there you have it. But yes, the idea is that exponential power of having your sales leader really engage with the sales team.
So what exactly does the power of two refer to?
So it refers to the sales leader with the salesperson, engaged at all levels of the sales process. So there's the power of two people in it.
Okay. Has it been your experience that that's not what exists?
It has. So prior to starting my own company, Proactivate, 13 years ago, I was VP of Sales at Career Builder and had a team of 80 to 100 salespeople across the country.
Wow.
And naturally, we helped a lot of sales organizations as well, and that's what we focus on within my company today. But naturally, there's an issue in the market with sales management, not really leading people, but more managing things, doing the reports, the data, the analytics, which is helpful to provide data so they can go engage with their team and help them.
Sure.
But
the metrics.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. To help them to see where to influence their performance. But there really is an issue with sales leaders being somewhat removed and not being in the trenches with their teams.
So at the core, Jamie, what is then the difference, would you say, between a manager and a leader?
At the core, I would say it's influence versus authority. It's the sales leader being amongst the team, showing them how it's done, having a replicatable sales process that they can model and help them win business.
Right. What would you say is the biggest challenge then associated with that process? Is it that not all managers can be leaders?
Well, that's certainly a problem, and you find often within sales organizations that it's assumed that a great salesperson can transform to a great leader, which is not the case.
Right.
It's not always the same skill set at all. And so it's not an automatic assumption that should be made, although some really great salespeople truly want to lead and influence people and are good leaders. That's not an automatic assumption.
Would you say, though, in that role, a sales manager has to be a leader in the world we live in? Most companies, in the past, maybe you had two different positions, wearing those two different hats, but now it really has to be in one person?
I think if it's a true sales leader, yes, you
Okay.
have to be that person that we're talking about.
Okay.
Where you are not only, you have to create the sales culture from the top, right? A lot of sales leaders kind of sit back and talk about the problems amongst the team, but it really starts with us as sales leaders. And it's creating that culture of excellence, and it's modeling it. So it's having a replicatable sales process, modeling that for your team, going out there with them and showing them how it's done, and it makes a huge difference. And so then you're influencing their success far beyond what they could have done on their own. So maximizing their full potential.
So is that the reader of the book? When you wrote the book, because this is your first book, right?
It is, yes.
So this is targeted for whom? The person who's already in a sales managing position they're looking to sort of expand their skill set into that role of leader.
Yes, and it's for, either someone who's expanding their skill set or a sales leader today who maybe wants to transform their culture to more sales leadership oriented, right? Because a lot of times it really does start at the very top, and there are some cultures that believe that everyone's in sales and they are engaged with their sales organization. You see the CEO out there on sales calls.
Right.
And then there are sales leaders in certain cultures who are inside the office, analyzing reports, tracking numbers. And again, those metrics are important to be used as tools, but not as weapons. And when they're used as tools, it helps give the sales leader data of which to go influence and help and impact.
So how did you come up with this methodology that you discuss in the book? Was it a lot of trial and error? Obviously, you said this is your background, learning on the job. So this is your experience kind of put on paper?
Yes, so my co-author, Jay Blakey, he was one of my first few clients at Proactivate 13 years ago. So we helped his sales organization find great sales leaders and sales talent across the country. He was Senior VP of Sales at Concentra. So he came to me a few years ago and said, why don't we write a book together? Because he managed a huge sales organization.
Right.
I did at Career Builder, and then at Proactivate, we helped sales organizations achieve their revenue goals by finding great talent. And so he said, why don't we combine our experience and what we believe about sales leadership? Because he really believed the same philosophy.
Amazing.
And put a book together.
So do people come to you at your firm, Proactivate? Mm-hmm. People come to you, are you a recruitment firm then? You're helping them find sales leaders?
And that's kind of how we help a sales organization implement this process, right? Mm-hmm. We're not a traditional recruiting firm, no, but we are specialized in sales talent acquisition, sales leadership, and things that support revenue generation. So we help them by finding great sales talent, sales leaders for their team. And also, I'm a public speaker and speak on sales leadership as well as peak performance mindset. So helping organizations to implement this within their companies is something that we can do both from a talent perspective and from a development perspective for their sales leadership.
Excellent. When you talk about this development perspective, are some of the sort of the methodology in the book, can this be applied to the whole sales team to become the sales leader, or is this more the person who's already in the management leadership role?
I think it's both, and here's why. I think that it starts with the sales leader, but in terms of the sales team, it's not necessarily so they can become the sales leader eventually, although that would definitely add value for them, but it's so they can know the culture of their organization is one in which they have a leader who's out there with them in the field, making deals happen, or on the phone, however their sales process is, but they truly have a team member who is changing their success because they're in it with them. And there's a difference.
Right.
There's a definite difference.
No, there absolutely is. And it's just shocking to me that today's day and age that you could have a sales leader who's really not in the trenches with their team.
Yeah.
But I assume that still happens. They kind of delegate the responsibility and then they're in charge of the numbers.
Right, and they're asking you, have you hit your quota? But, there's a true leader understands the why for their sales team. Why are they really doing it? More than just hitting quota, right?
Yes.
But they care about their people. They have an empathy and they lead with love and grace. It's different. Right, so when your sales team feels like you care about them personally and you understand their bigger reason for being there, which is so far beyond hitting quota, there's so many more life reasons for an individual person. And when that sales team member feels that from their sales leader, it's not only impacts revenue and productivity, but retention. And the number one reason people leave their jobs is their boss and trusting in that leader. So when you have that bond and they're in the field with them, it's so different than just bombarding them with reporting and numbers.
For sure. I mean, you want a boss who's going to make an investment. It's TLC. I mean, all that goes together. It's all part of the process. That's a part of, I would say, a manager selling themselves to their employees.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
and it should be a partnership.
Exactly. I just wanted to go through a couple of things because there's some unique concepts. We have a lot of sales books on the show, but leadership is a particular niche. You talk about something here. Go the exponents again. ESM squared, the Engaged Sales Management Squared Method. It's a mouthful, but that caught my eye. What does that mean exactly?
So it's really what we've been talking about in terms of the Engaged Sales Management method, right? And it's just the methodology that the sales leaders engage at a whole different level. That they are, the salesperson may be generating the leads, getting the appointments, but the sales leader is with them on appointments. And really that power of two, when it comes back to the exponent, it's the idea that for the client, they are getting two trusted advisors.
Right.
And it changes it to a much more consultative sales process. And the sales leader is providing more expertise within the sales process. So at all levels, that ESM2 is just that sales leader who's truly engaged in the entirety of the sales process.
Right. I mean, and I like how it's trifold because it benefits the client, the staff, and the sales organization. So tell us a little bit about the benefits in each sort of capacity.
Absolutely. So for the salesperson themselves, the staff, I would say a true leader is helping someone become what they couldn't do on their own. So you're not motivating someone, so to speak, because you have to have that grit within you.
Right.
But if someone could perform here on their own, a true leader is helping you achieve even greater results and changes the trajectory of your success beyond what you could do on your own because you're showing someone and believing in them and people rise to the occasion.
Right.
For the organization, it is absolutely changing, the overall revenue objectives, the retention. People are happier and they feel that bond with their boss, and studies show that happy salespeople sell 38% more. So it changes.
It's interesting that's 38%. Obviously, it's based on metrics. But,
right. So, and then for the client, it just is a whole nother level of expertise that's provided. You're getting two people. Two are better than one, even in business. And, you're getting just that consultative level of service, and I feel like it shows that you have, you can look at this team as trusted advisors versus just the salesperson trying to get a deal.
And what do you say to the person who's in a managerial role, but they're not extroverts? They're great at driving sales, but this whole idea of engaging, in the ESM squared method, it's not their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you discuss in the book to sort of, get past that?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you have to be an extrovert truly to be good at this.
Okay.
And that is a natural inclination for us to think that. But really great salespeople don't seem like sales-y people, right? They seem consultative, like they have empathy and want to help someone with a problem. They really want to make an impact in someone's business or for them personally. And so it's funny, over the course of my career, I've met several people over time, even personally, not just professionally, who say, well, oh gosh, I wouldn't be good at sales, or I'm not salesy, I'm not an extrovert.
People say that a lot. Sales, because it has this connotation to it.
It does, but really great salespeople are not like that.
They're not, right. You don't even realize they're selling you something.
No, you feel like you're talking to someone about an issue or challenge you have that really cares and wants to make an impact to make it better.
Right.
And salespeople aren't selling you something you don't need. They're consulting with you and helping you solve a problem. So if you're not an extrovert, it doesn't make a difference truly, because extrovert or introvert, all people want to help someone else. And
it's a one-on-one, it's an intimate sort of relationship.
Yes.
I did want to touch upon, you mentioned with your firm, you are in the recruitment field, specializing in sales leadership. I'm always curious what your recommendation is in terms of hiring people with industry experience or without when it comes to sales. If you've never done it before, obviously it's a feather in your cap if you have, but what do you say to the manager who is considering hiring someone with no background? Is that something you'd encourage or not so much?
Well, it's interesting. So there is such a dichotomy on that topic, and I talk with CEOs and VPs of sales all the time, and some really want industry experience and some don't care. If you were to ask my bent toward it personally, and of course we honor whatever the company wants, because we guarantee them ideal candidates that match their profile. But for me personally, I believe that sales it factor, that grit, that commitment to excellence, I'm going to win no matter what attitude, is first and foremost. And so if you have that and don't have industry experience, when you engage in this sales methodology in the book, you have a sales leader there who can train and develop on the industry experience.
Right.
But what's most important is that grit and that character and determination. Yes, and 80% of sales success is based on mindset. 20% is skill set. So those are all the it factors, and that's something we teach at our company, Peak Performance Mindset, because it makes an impact.
Right, but it's true. It's that if you have that grit and that drive, and you see that in other disciplines, that can be translated into a sales capacity, just moving jobs, but it's at the end of the day, it's the same foundation.
Exactly. That's most important.
But that's most important. So when you help companies attract the best talent, what are you looking for? I mean, is this something that, like you said, is it just seeing that grit in a person's resume? I mean, what is your process?
It's a combination, I'll tell you. So we have three major components of our process. We have a skill set component. That is 20% of sales success. We need to understand their sales process, their sales methodology, their formula for success, and they need to understand that, so we know if it's replicatable and they can win for that client.
Right.
But another big component of our qualification process is based on mindset. Because like I said, 80% of sales success is about that perseverance, that motivation, that optimism, and that drive.
The ambition.
And so, yes, and most organizations don't know how to interview on that. So we have a major component focused on that. And then finally, we do simulation evaluation. So if it's sales, then we're going to be, simulating scenarios such as getting in with the right type of decision maker and how they get that meeting, or overcoming objections in the close, or things like that. Now, for sales leaders, we're going to do scenarios on how they engage with their teams. But
Right.
for any role, whether it's sales or sales leadership, we are taking them through simulations to see them in action.
I like so role plays.
Yep.
That's great. I'm picturing like a virtual reality capacity. I'm picturing you guys with the
I love that. That's
right,
great.
like putting
I think
something
we're
on
gonna,
your.
yeah,
You
we'll
should.
add that in now.
Right. You did spark my interest though. You said evaluating mindset. So how do you do
Yes.
that? You said because most organizations don't know how to do that.
Well, they don't. And they spend a lot of questions asking, talking about industry experience and sales formulas and things like that.
Right.
But we have to find out how they're made up. So we use behavioral-based interviewing, and we use questions. I mean, we actually, for each of our clients, will customize the qualification process based
great.
on their ideal candidate profile. But we ask questions around optimism and perseverance and drive and motivation, and really find out so much more. They no longer feel like they're talking about their sales background, right?
Yeah.
But for your life, what drives you?
That's great.
And so, tell me about a time you had to show empathy in a situation and how you did that and how someone received it, or just real life scenarios where you can dig into those characteristics we're talking about that
Sure.
are mindset focused.
So important because metrics are important. And tell me about your most successful sales to date.
Of course, yeah.
All that stuff. But it's
You
a
need both.
You need both, right? It's a combination. I always like to know, especially Jamie, with your line of work, you've been doing this a very long time, and this book shows that certainly. What do you know now that you wish you would have known then? Or are there things in the book, and I know you have a co-author, but are there things that it was as if, wow, remember when we were doing that? We want to help people improve upon that. Or
Yes, I really remember my first sales leadership job in my 20s. And I worked in traditional staffing firms, which is why now I've created something that is unique to that.
Right.
Because I saw a gap in the market. But I had a team, and I did not understand sales leadership. I was just given a team. I was young, and I thought everyone would work as hard as I did. Right. And I thought they would be as committed. And I did train and develop, but I didn't have that same attitude.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, you need to do what I would do every day, and how many have you done, and why haven't you done this yet? And it wasn't leading with empathy. It wasn't leading with grace. It wasn't really being there with them. Now, when I transformed over time, I learned that. I learned what I didn't know, and that I couldn't just expect this stuff to happen and ask people to check the box, but I had to go out and influence it. And I thought so much differently about it in the future. I thought of my team as a garden, and how I could
make
how
it
I
grow
could water
and nourish
them,
it,
and
right?
help pull out the weeds, but help nourish it and help them grow to maximize their potential.
Right.
So that is the impetus for the book. I mean, my passion, whether it's in Proactivate or Peak Performance Mindset speaking, is about helping people maximize their full potential, and that's what a sales leader should do.
Yeah, no, I mean, the passion comes through in the book, but it's so true. You talk about your first sales job, and you just expect people to be on your page and to sort of do what you do. But like you said, you can get there, but there are ways to do that, and that's what this book contains. So it's really important information, and really just user-friendly. Like I said, it's really easy to read.
Thank you.
And I think very beneficial no matter what sort of sales leadership role you're in. So congratulations on your first book.
Thank you.
And to your co-author as well.
Thank you.
Thanks
I
for being
appreciate
here.
it. Absolutely.
And if you'd like more information on the book, just check out our website at c-suitebookclub.com, c-suitebookclub.com. I'm Taryn Winter Brill. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Bestseller TV.